Have you ever heard the name of an organ inside your body, like the liver, and don't know how it works, what its function? Have you ever wondered why do you get disease and get sick, and why do you need to eat healthy food? How to differ between healthy and unhealthy food? How to actually build muscle, and how do we actually being alive by eating food and pooping out and peeing out? Like how? So this video will provides the information, a comprehensive view of the human body. I will first provide my understanding of the whole human body, the models from simple models to more complicated and detailed models. And in the end of the video, I'm going to talk about why do we need to do a certain thing to be healthy, and why do we need to do some kind of thing to build muscles or maintain a healthy lifestyle. So of course I'm still a student, but I have watched video that are related to fitness, biology, and I've read lots of article about how the human bodies actually work. So I do believe that I have a pretty solid understanding of how our body actually work. Yeah, so the first thing is, how are we alive? How do we work? Okay, so the first thing that you need to understand is we are a living entity. So we gotta interact with the outside environment. So look at a human. It's the human have to take the energy that we can gather from the outside environment, precisely from our eating and from our drinking. We take that energy, we process it through our digestive systems, and from the energy from our food and our drinks, we can use that energy to basically be alive, to feed up our metabolism, and to do other actions, such as me recording this video, running around, or studying, thinking. Okay, a more comprehensive view of how all of these work will be provided. Okay, I'm gonna say it right now. So, how do we actually gather energy? I'm gonna be a little bit detailed right now. So, we need three kinds of material to be able to stay alive. First is through food. Second is through drink. We also drink from our mouth. And the third one is through our nose. We need to intake oxygen to be able to stay alive. Oh, also, a simple way, apart from just viewing a living entity as taking energy, right? We ought to receive inputs, receive data from the outside environment. So that's the role of our eyes, our nose, our ear, and how we actually sense things by touching our skin. That's the data we receive to be able to process the information and take other kind of action. The first thing is oxygen. Oxygen is the most important thing that we gotta have constantly. Like we have to constantly breathing, right? Without oxygen, in at around 2 or 3 minutes, a person would pretty much die. They would suffocate, and the brain would shut down, and they would be disabled. Oxygen is the most important thing. So, oxygen, we inhale oxygen through our lungs, and we exhale carbon, we exhale CO2. So that's why when people meet situations when another kind of gas, or when they inhale too much pollutants in their lungs, these pollutants or these harmful gas actually take place in their lungs and push over the oxygens. They basically don't allow as much oxygen to enter our blood systems, our systems, as usual. So that's usually make case that people actually suffocate from harmful toxic gas or suffer long-term consequence from long-term gas exposure. Another way, okay, two other main way that we intake energy is through drinks and through our food. So first, the food and drinks will be processed through our teeth. We squeeze it down into small bites. We process it primarily through our saliva. Then we will swallow that down through our digestive tract. Also, and a pretty interesting thing is that our air, um, the pathway that we intake air and how we digest food, they share the same path around here. So that's why we gotta swallow to be able to push our food down on the digestive tract when we can still pretty much breathe. That's why you can't breathe when you're swallowing. So these food and waters will go down through to our stomach. It's a bag of acidic organs that process our food down. Then the liver will also put down some kind of substance for easier digestion that will go through I think it's the small intestine and the big intestines. In these intestines, the nutrients that is processed by the food will be absorbed through the blood. I will mention the function of blood later, but these nutrients will be absorbed by the blood. As you can't really see my hand right now, but will be absorbed by the blood. And things that we don't need from our food or our drinks will be pushed down into our poop or our pee. The way that we should really view blood is that blood is like a highway of our body to transmit signals, transmit not signal, transmit nutrients, different kind of nutrients in our body. The way that we should really view our body is that we are just accumulative of really small living entities that people call as cells. We are made of like trillions of cells. Trillions is like thousands of billions of cells. And we made of lots of the microorganism. They are around 10 to 100 micrometers. Like a micrometer is 1 millionth of a normal meter. So they're really small. You can't see it in our eye. So blood serves as the highway to transmit nutrients to each of these cells. Each of these cells. So that's why our hands look lively, look healthy, they look alive, right? That's because these are living entities. Yeah. That's why you feel the difference between like normal living entities and dead things, just like the wood here, they are dead thing, they're just solid structures and other kind of stuff. So okay, so our blood supply energy to these cells. These cells take intake the nutrients and will put down the waste back into the blood, into our veins. It's like the highway, and the vein will go around. The vein will basically deliver all the nutrients to the cells in our body, but also will take the waste and be filtered through our liver and through our kidneys, and they will basically be put away or be stored in these organs for as our waste. So that's how pretty much how we really process food and the roles of the blood in our system. Also, blood. I've mentioned that blood is a highway to deliver nutrients, right? Yeah, blood is also the main way for us to deliver oxygen to the cells in our body, to the cells in and basically to also put away the CO2 that our cell breathe out. Okay, so why do we need those kind of nutrients and why do we need all oxygens and get our CO2, right? The way that our cells works is that they use nutrients from our blood, from our body, and they need oxygen to be able to process, to be able to combine with these nutrients, to be able to transmit them into usable energy. And the byproduct, the waste of these um, the waste of these process is CO2. So that's why when we don't breathing, when we don't breathe, our O2, our oxygen's level decrease and our CO2 level increase because we can't put in oxygens and can't let out the CO2 that our cells are constantly emitting. So that's a pretty comprehensive views of how we work. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the main organs and the main structures, integrity of our body. I've mentioned that the lungs is for the breathing function, our breathing functions. The blood is at the heart. The heart that beats at around more than 50 times for normal persons, like 60 to 7 heartbeats a minute, and we will beat around 1 billion beats for a normal person lifetime. Is the main way for us to pump the blood around. As I've mentioned, blood is the highway that we use to transmit signals. So these blood need to move around our vein, right? So the main way for those to move around is the pressures that it push from our hearts. Our hearts is pump blood to be able to let the blood flow around our body. That's how. So the liver will be at around here, a little bit. You can't really see that. A little bit lower than the lung. The kidneys will be at 2 parts behind our backs. The intestine will be at around our belly. And there are other kind of small organs, but those are details that it's not really as important as the organs. And the way that we control our digestion process, and also to take actions like to be able to utilize the energy from our cells after we input energy in, right? The first step is to input energy and process them. The second thing is to store energy and to be able to utilize them. So excess energy, the excess calories or energy that we take through foods or through drinks, it will be stored in a form of as fatty things like this. Okay, it can be stored as energy as sugar inside our liver. Part of it is also stored as muscle that we have from our training, but those are pretty small in comparison to fat because fat is the tissues that store the most energy in our body. So the way that we'll be able to take actions is totally through our brain. Our brain inputs sensors from the outside environments, as I've said, right? It also is the place for us to it pretty much the command systems, the commander of the whole body systems that we have. It's like the control room of the whole system. Without the brain, we are just done. We disappeared. We're not us anymore. We want to be able to move or do anything. Basically alive. So the way that the brain really control how our body works is that it spread out neurons. It spread out neurons down to our spinal cords. Yeah, spread out neurons to our spinal cord. Basically, the spinal cord is the lines go through whole our back, and the neurons are inside the spinal cord, and it will spread around our limbs, our legs, our arms, basically every muscle, our chest, our shoulders. So you just need to understand that the brains are worked based on neurons. Neurons are like the cable of our internet, other kinds, like pretty basic, pretty similar example. So every time you think, the brain, oh, by the way, the brain are constantly thinking. There are constantly signal goes on around the brain. Obviously, as we observe the surrounding through our eyes, or just tasting foods, these are the signals that go to our brains for processing. These signals will go down the spinal cord and pretty much go through the neurons and control our body. So that's why we can move our hands, My brain basically tell the hands, the bicep muscle to contract, and the muscle down here, the triceps to lengthen down for me to be able to curl my arms up, and the opposite, to contract the triceps and to lengthen the biceps to be able to straighten my arms. Those are basically the entirety of the signal that I send through my command systems, or pretty much my brain. So that's a pretty interesting fact, and how we actually move. As you can see, the main structure of our body are the skeleton, right? All those bones hidden deep down in our body. Those are the things that bear the load and keep our body intact, keep the base of our body. The next thing is the vein that carry the blood around to basically keep the bone alive, and also the other matters alive. The next thing is our muscle. Yeah, our muscle and ligaments. Keep in mind that muscle and ligaments are connected to each other. Yeah, they are connected to each other, and they are living matters. So these work by basically contracts and lengthen. These are put strap they are built around our bones to be able to, for us to move around, to move our bone around and utilize the energy that we have in our cells. The next thing is fascia. Okay, fascia is this pretty hard thing to explain, but it's basically a really thin layer of matter that wraps around our muscle. So that's essentially linked to our flexibility. So that's why some people can, I forgot, like some people can do do this with their legs, and like that's the reason why some people are able to do the Asian squat, why some not. It's mainly related to mobility and flexibility. And the next thing is the fats and the skin layer. The skin is also a pretty important organs in our body. Um, a pretty interesting fact is that fat and skin are pretty much linked with each other. Fat is part of the skin organs. Fat is the deepest layer of the skin, and then after the fat layer, there's skin, and there's hair, and our arms, and the skins. Those basically how we are built. Of course, in our torso, the deepest layer is the organs. They are deepest inside. The organs will pretty much attach to the spinal cord and our ribs. It will keep intact through the fascia layer, the fat layer that are around our organs, and also the muscle. They're wrapped around the organs to keep it in place instead of letting it fall down back, maybe fall down into our legs, right? So that's pretty much the whole human body structure. The way that we really, how our muscle really work, it's pretty much too detailed for this video. It's already really a really long video, but I figured out that I would want to do a comprehensive video like this, so that I could watch this video again in the future, and see like how wrong my view was in the past, or did a good job at comprehending my body. Yeah, that's basically it. So why do people have advice around how we should live healthily, how to live longer and live a healthy and more fulfilling life? Why do we need to train to be able to train weightlifting, to do cardio to be able to be alive, or build muscle? Should I talk about that? I'm just gonna talk about that briefly in this video. So the thing is, the body are only be able The thing is that our body work, our body can't really repair damage that is too heavy from our. MFO should it like this video is already too long. If I just include that, it would be too long. Shit. Maybe I will divide this video into two parts, and I will talk about how, why you, like, how do our knowledge of the body, like all the knowledge that I've talked about, all the view that I've talked about, how does these knowledge actually explain all the things that we are told, like why do we need to sleep for 7 to 9 hours? Why do we gotta sleep every day at a certain specific time? Why do we need to drink water, water consistently? Why do we need to eat healthy food, eat vegetables, all that kind of stuff? I think those are for future videos because this is already too long. I'm pretty much gonna stop at 21 minutes because it is the 20. It's been 21 days since I've been practice trying to improve my English speaking skill. 3 weeks, yay! 3 weeks. There are lots of certain kind of developments that I haven't expect, and I didn't really think that I would use this channel as a way to um, summarize my knowledge and state it out in my mind. So that's really fascinating, and I've noticed my improvement in speaking skill. That's it for this video.